Hey folks, the Comics Kid 2099 here to talk about an episode of a superhero animated series. Today, I'll be discussing the new Batman Adventures episode, Old Wounds. If you haven't seen the episode, you should before I get into the spoilers and other dangerous things. But if you don't fear spoilers, then stick around as I will refresh the plot of the episode for you before I get into the review itself. Batman's former partner in crime, Nightwing, meets up with Batman's current partner in crime, the new Robin, and they discuss what made Nightwing want to abandon his partnership with Batman. Most of the episode is a flashback, and also shows how Batman and Batgirl became the partners that they are in the new Batman Adventures. The episode ends with Nightwing realizing that Batman isn't as bad as he had been making him out to be, and he and Robin go off to answer the call of the Bat Signal together. So this is exactly the kind of episode that I was expecting immediately after Sins of the Father, and not 3/4 of a season later. But since we are finally getting the episode, even if it is really late, I have to say, I really like it. It gives us a believable reason why Dick would want to leave, and it also gives us a satisfying conclusion to the schism between Bruce at the end of the episode. Having said that, I do have a few problems with this episode. One, we're told that the rift between Bruce and Dick was growing for quite some time, but that's not what I've seen from this series at all. We didn't get very much Dick Grayson at all in Batman the Animated Series, and when we did get him, he was hardly ever at odds with Batman. The only time I can ever think of was in Robin's Reckoning. So this episode and all the other episodes in this season trying to tell us that the rift was a long time coming just does not work for me. Likewise, when Dick finally does hit the breaking point and he tells Barbara that Bruce does nothing but manipulate and scheme, that seems weird because you can say many things about this version of Batman, but I can't think of a single time that he's manipulated Dick or Barbara. Sure, Dick is seeing red at this point, and he doesn't know what went down in a cave when he wouldn't answer his cell phone and Barbara volunteered to fill in for him, but him accusing Bruce of being a manipulator feels weird when Bruce has never done that in this series. Another thing that kind of bugs me about this episode is that Dick had no real reason to come back to Gotham based on the flashback that we get here. I'm glad that he did, because it would have been really weird starting the new Batman Adventures with him gone and never coming back for the whole series. But he tells Barbara that he wants to be his own man, and then he very emphatically parts ways with Bruce, so why come back to Gotham at all, where you are guaranteed to run into Batman, especially in your line of work? It's problematic because we've already seen him return to Gotham, so we need a schism that is just bad enough to split these two up, but not so bad that Dick would never want to come back. But the flashback gives us a schism that is bad enough that Dick should never want to see Batman again. Another problem that I have goes back to the placement of this episode. Like I said, this should have really been immediately after Sins of the Father, when Dick first reintroduces himself to Batman. Since that episode, we've had 2 episodes where Dick has worked with Batman, and one of them where he even kind of reconciled with Batman a little bit. So this episode showing Dick be so steadfast in his disdain of Batman doesn't really work, since we've already seen the two of them working together since their schism began. There was another thing that I thought was a problem, but not as much as some of the other things that I've already mentioned. In the flashbacks, we see Barbara and Batman are already in their updated designs that they're wearing in the new Batman Adventures. Joker's also in his updated design. The only character still in his old designs is Dick Grayson, because he hadn't become Nightwing yet. It's not an actual complaint against the episode, but I would have liked to have seen this episode return to the Batman the Animated Series designs just in this flashback. It would have been a nice bone to throw to the people who really prefer the previous seasons over this season. I know it sounds like I really didn't like this episode with all of the complaints that I'm throwing around, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. It's just that after imagining the schism between these two for as long as I have, and building it up in my mind, it would have been very hard for even a fantastic episode to have met my expectations. But this episode did do some cool things, like when Batman scares the child of the thug that he's trying to intimidate. This seems to be a recurring thing with Batman, like in DC The New Frontier. I like that it's what drives a wedge between Dick and Bruce, because both of them have been scared children before, and it is in fact what united them in the first place. It has great thematic resonance, and it is even the source of what will maybe reunite them after the events of this episode, as Nightwing finds out that Bruce, in his Bruce Wayne persona, gave a job to the thug that he was trying to shake down in a flashback. I like this because, as I've said many times, Bruce can save the world as Bruce Wayne and as Batman, and this is a great example of that. Overall, I think that this is a very solid episode. Not perfect, but like I said, it would have been very hard to please me with this episode no matter what was done. But I did enjoy myself, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and this review. And if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you did like this video, you're in luck because I do reviews like this every Saturday. And if you're interested, I do other videos throughout the week, so check those out also. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.